Good day, my sister. How you doing today? Happy day. We are alive, we're breathing. Life is a gift and a blessing. So welcome back to the Fit and Fueled by Faith podcast. Your host, Stacey. And today we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about fasting and the invention of breakfast and just a little bit of history and some benefits to fasting and kind of getting back to our ancestors. And So welcome. This is your first time here in this podcast. I share faith and fitness and everything between, and we're going to talk about health and nutrition and mindsets. And obviously today we're going to talk about fasting and breakfast. Who doesn't like breakfast? Okay, so I'm reading a book called, because I'm going to give a lot of credit out here where it's due. It's called Eat Smarter. It's by Sean Stevenson. So I might read some excerpts and some things from here. I've been just kind of reading it and going over it. I'm good at just kind of like things I kind of know off the top of the head. I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about and sharing here, because I'm always constantly learning and stuff. And I know some of these things, but it's pretty cool to put it in an order for you to understand and make sure I say it in an easy way to understand. So, who loves breakfast? I love breakfast. I love breakfast. I could eat breakfast all day long. But what I want to talk about is how did breakfast come about to be? If we go back and look at our ancestors, they weren't eating breakfast. They were hunting and gathering and really had accessibility to food like we have today. So they had to go through times of, famine and feast. And the body adapted or was created in a way for them to survive. Because you can imagine if our ancestors, there's no food for a day or two and they just died, we'd be extinct. But the human body, which a scientist refers to as the thrifty genes, are exceptionally good at managing energy. They're very good at storing fat when food is in abundance and equally as good at burning fat when meal isn't around. So just kind of touching up on fasting, whether you heard about intermittent fasting and you've been doing it for a while or it's something new to you and it's a big craze and this and that, fasting is not new. Fasting is, like I said, our ancestors were doing it back in the day, so it's actually something normal that we should be doing. But we have this abundance of food. We have a grocery market at every corner, in town, or food is abundant. And there's so many variations and just things that are created, not so good for us, and you name it. So we're constantly eating foods that our ancestors would normally not eat all year long. Even fruit, they'd eat when things were in season. They had to hunt and gather, and hopefully they found something to eat. Obviously they killed the animals and they ate and lived off the land, the plants and the fruits, whatever not, and herbs and spices. But can you imagine if we had to go out? Okay, what are we gonna eat today? What's in season, either we would have to store. So our bodies adapted to storing and to releasing fat when it was in need. So we can survive, so we can go through and survive a famine when it was needed. So the agriculture really helped to bring about breakfast. When we had laborers getting up 5 a.m. and had to work a long day, it was recommended that they maybe chug down, a big breakfast before working a big day. So, breakfast is actually somewhat more new than fasting, because you're looking here, it says, this is where I'm trying to read here. Got my glasses on. They're saying 50 to 10,000 BC. By criteria that favored survival in an environment characterized by fluctuations between periods of feast and famine, which I said. And the theory of the thrifty gene states that these fluctuations are required for optimal metabolic function. Okay, so prior to that, our bodies had to survive. So even centuries after BC, when humans traded in their bison skin loincloths, he's so funny. He says breezy designer togas. Breakfast still wasn't a regular part of the human diet. So, for example, the people of ancient Rome didn't really eat, according to food historian Caroline Yeldman. So I'm just quoting here, some excerpts from the book here. They believed it was healthier to eat their first meal midday around noon. And as you likely know, the Romans had a substantial influence in so many other cultures around the world. And this way of eating impacted what people ate for a very long time. So people in that culture, the Romans had influence around the world. They were eating more like in the noon, and I have to say that's when I'm kind of like eating between 11, 12, and 1. And now he says here, go to the Middle Ages when monastic life largely shaped when people ate. This is likely when the word breakfast initially hit the scene. He wrote, people still weren't necessarily eating early in the day, unless it was hard labor or for someone who was ill or the elderly in years. And, this is a good point, as eating before morning mass was frowned upon. But after mass around 10:30, 11 a.m., people would break their overnight fast. Literally break fast and eat their first meal of the day. And how ironic. I don't live in the Middle Ages. I don't live in the Roman century. But here we are in the 2024, in the 21st century. And, I go to Mass daily and I fast after dinner. And I break fast usually around that time, 11 a.m., because I fast before going to Mass. And that is common in the church, that we are to fast. They can maybe say fast an hour before, but traditionally it was like you ate dinner and then you fasted until after Mass. And usually I wait after maybe an hour or two, because I just consumed Jesus. I consumed my God. I am one with God. Let that sit in, let that soak, let him abide in me and I in him, let him consume me. So, I'm kind of doing that thing. So, long story short, obviously, when the Industrial Revolution took place, it wasn't common for workers to work 100 or so hours of labor. Can you imagine that? And so then it was common for social classes to eat meals before going to work. And so there you have it, my friends, with breakfast. Our ancestors didn't eat breakfast. They probably didn't eat days at a time. They were in famine. And then at times when they had food, they feasted. And then their bodies stored it and preserved, And so our bodies do the same thing. When we overeat, our bodies are storing. It's thinking, okay, I better eat and store some fat because there's a famine coming. Granted, we don't have a famine anymore, but still our DNA, the thrifty genes, as it was said here, our bodies still do the same thing. Our bodies are so good at managing energy, very good at storing fat when food is in abundance, and equally as good as burning fat when meals aren't around. So feast and famine, my friends. And so that's what brings us to fasting. So intermittent fasting is something we should all do. Maybe you're not doing it. Maybe you are doing it and you're loving it. I've been doing it forever, and I was doing it before I even knew it was intermittent fasting. I just was like, I'm really not hungry in the morning. I'm going to just eat after 11 o'clock and not eat after 7. And I did that for many years. And then I heard, I'm like, oh, okay, hey, I've been doing this. Intermittent fasting, what is this? I'm like, I'm doing it already, And don't get me wrong, there's times where I wake up, I'm hungry, and I'm like, okay, I need to eat. But still, since I go to daily Mass, I could still be hungry, and I'm like, okay, I can't eat until after Mass. And I usually go to 8:30 or so, Mass, 8:30. And so, but then I go exercise after, and then I'm like, yeah, what time I'm eating, it's lunchtime. But maybe everybody else's lunchtime is my breakfast. I'm breaking fast, noon. And then usually I don't eat after 8 o'clock. And that's my window. So I just wanted, real quick, because we have just a few minutes, but, I wanted to kind of let you know, breakfast is something new, and fasting has been, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, back in the day with our ancestors, cavemen, right, hunters and gatherers. But I wanted just a few little things about intermittent fasting. One, it improves metabolic function, my friends. Data published in the peer-reviewed journal Obesity states that employing intermittent fasting is like flipping a metabolic switch. So really, what does that mean? Instead of your body storing more fat, intermittent fasting helps you to flip the switch to help you start using and burning more fat. Okay, so improves metabolic function. Isn't that awesome? Number 2, intermittent fasting improves brain health. Brain health. Intermittent fasting can stimulate the production of new brain cells according to the data published in the Journal of Molecular Neuroscience. How sweet is that? Our body can create new brain cells. And that's hard to come by, but intermittent fasting is one of just a handful of ways to give your brain some new active cells to drive around your brain and make memories with. And who doesn't want to replenish their brain? So metabolism function, brain health, and we have intermittent fasting reduces disease risks and slows down the aging process. Who doesn't want that? To slow down the aging process, right? And to look younger and youthful as long as you can. A study published in the Journal of Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism showed that a daily 12-hour intermittent fast was enough to significantly reduce levels of homocysteine and C-reactive protein, which are both major markers of heart disease and systemic inflammation. Like what? And then where was the other part I wanted to read about? Also intermittent fasting on an animal study published in Mechanisms of Aging and Development looked at the effects of intermittent fasting on lymphoma, a cancer involving the lymph and immune systems. Intermittent fasting, which was initiated in middle-aged mice over a 4-month period, reduced the incidence of lymphoma by 33%. Oh my goodness. 33%. And then where is the study about? So right here it says, intermittent fasting accelerates the removal of metabolic waste products, enabling your cells, tissues, and organs to work more efficiently. That's awesome. So what happens during intermittent fasting, autophagy happens. So that helps to just replenish and to clean. It's a cleansing in a sense, right? So who doesn't want cleansing and to, slow down the aging process? Okay. So yeah, metabolic waste causes oxidative stress and inflammation. So autophagy helps to, cleanse that. And what else? So that's what I have for you, my friends. Do some more research. If you want to get the book Eat Smarter, it's great. He breaks down everything from it's use the power of food to reboot your metabolism, upgrade your brain, and transform your life. So we're talking about metabolism and brain health and longevity, and just a healthy, fit mind, body. Who doesn't want that? Amen. And of course, for spiritual reasons, we fast too, because it helps us to just connect more with God on a higher level. So my friends, breakfast isn't a new thing. Fasting is old. Fasting improves brain health and reduces disease risk and slows down the aging process. And it also improves metabolic function. So that's what I have for you today, my friends. Do your research. Let me know if you want more of this information. And until the next time, go out in the world, share love, make peace, be happy. Share this with anybody that you know can use this. And tag me at Fit and Fueled by Faith. And I'll see you there.